Hello and welcome back to Talk About It in English. If you have been following our channel, Hello and welcome back to Talk About It in English. If you have been following our channel, you know that we do not just teach you grammar rules. We teach you how to survive and thrive in real conversations. We want you to feel confident when you open your mouth. I am Sarah and I am here with Mark.
Hi everyone, I am Mark. I am really excited about today's topic because it is something that happens to me, and probably to you, almost every single week. It is that moment on Monday morning when you walk into work or you meet a friend for coffee and they ask you the most common question in the English language.
Exactly. You know the question we are talking about. It is simple, it is short, but for some reason it makes English learners freeze. The question is, so how was your weekend?
It sounds so easy, right? How was your weekend? But Sarah, I have noticed that when I ask this to students or even to people who speak English quite well, the conversation often dies right there.
It does. Let's act out what usually happens. Mark, pretend I am a colleague you are seeing on Monday morning.
Okay, I am walking in with my coffee.
Hey Mark, good to see you. How was your weekend?
It was good.
Oh, that's nice.
Yeah, and you?
It was fine, thanks.
Okay, see you later.
And cut. Did you feel that? Did you feel how awkward and cold that conversation was?
It was painful. I felt like I wanted to run away. But Sarah, grammatically, I was perfect. I said, it was good. Subject, verb, adjective. Why is that a problem?
That is the big secret we are going to talk about today. It was good is grammatically correct, but socially it is a disaster. In English-speaking cultures, when someone asks, how was your weekend? They are not just asking for a status report. They are trying to connect with you. They are inviting you to share a tiny piece of your life.
So when I just say it was good, I am basically closing the door.
Exactly. You are closing the door. You are signaling that you do not have anything to say or that you do not want to talk to them. It stops the conversation dead in its tracks.
But I think many of our listeners do this because they are afraid. They do not want to make a grammar mistake, so they stick to the safe word, good, or maybe fine, or okay.
And that is totally understandable. But today, we are going to fix that. We are going to give you a simple system. It is a formula, really. If you use this formula, you will never have to just say good again. You will be able to give an answer that sounds natural, confident, and actually makes the other person like you more.
I love formulas. It makes things much easier to remember. What is the system?
We call it the rule of 3. To give a great answer about your weekend, or really any experience, you need 3 parts. Part 1 is the opinion, Part 2 is the activity, and Part 3 is the detail.
Opinion, activity, detail. That sounds simple enough.
It is, and if you stick around until the end of this lesson, we are going to practice this with 3 different types of weekends, a lazy one, a busy one, and a social one. So make sure you are ready to speak out loud with us. But let's break down the first part, the opinion.
So this replaces the word good?
Yes, good is the enemy today. We want to banish the word good from your Monday morning vocabulary. The opinion is the vibe of your weekend. It sets the tone. Instead of good, we need specific adjectives that tell me how you actually felt.
Okay, let me try. If I spent the whole weekend sleeping, watching movies, and not doing much work, good is too vague. I could say it was relaxing.
Perfect. Relaxing is a great word. It tells me immediately that you rested. What if you had a weekend where you cleaned the house, did the grocery shopping, fixed your car, and finished a report for work?
I wouldn't say that was relaxing. I would say it was productive.
Yes, productive. That is a very positive word in English. It means you got a lot of things done. It feels good, but in a different way than relaxing. Now, what if you went to a party, saw a concert, and went out for dinner with friends?
That sounds fun.
It does, but fun is a little basic. Let's try exciting or even action-packed if you did a lot of things, or maybe just really lovely if it was quality time with people.
What about if it was bad? Like, maybe I was just working the whole time and I am tired.
Then be honest. You can say, honestly, it was exhausting, or it was a bit hectic. Hectic means busy in a crazy, unorganized way.
Hectic. I like that word. It sounds like my life.
So, step 1 is to choose a specific adjective. Don't start with it was good. Start with it was relaxing, or it was productive, or it was pretty hectic. This instantly gives the listener a clear picture of your mood.
Okay, so I have my adjective. It was relaxing. Now I start talking, right?
No, that is just the opening. If you stop there, it is still a bit short. You need part 2, the activity. You need to prove why it was relaxing. You need to tell me what you did.
Okay, so I say, it was relaxing. I slept and I watched TV.
That is okay, it is grammatically fine, but we want to take you from A2 to B1 and beyond. We want to make you sound like a storyteller, not a robot. So here is a pro tip for the activity. Try using the past continuous tense to set the scene.
The past continuous, that is the was doing or were doing structure, right?
Exactly. Instead of just saying, I watched TV, which sounds like a completed fact on a checklist, try saying, I was mostly just binge watching that new series on Netflix.
I was binge watching. That sounds much more dynamic. It puts you in the middle of the action.
Right. Or instead of saying, I cooked dinner, you could say, I was experimenting in the kitchen all Saturday. It sounds more active. It makes the listener feel like they are there with you.
So if I said it was productive, instead of saying I cleaned my house, I could say,
You could say, I was finally catching up on all my housework. Catching up on is a great phrasal verb there. It implies you were behind, and now you are back on track.
I was catching up on my housework. Okay. And if it was a social weekend, instead of I met friends?
You could say, I was hanging out with some old friends from college. Hanging out is the most natural way to talk about spending time socially. It's casual and friendly.
So now we have 2 parts. Let me put them together. It was really relaxing. I was mostly just hanging out with my family.
That is already 10 times better than it was good. You have an opinion, relaxing. You have an activity, hanging out with family. But we are missing the final piece, the magic sauce, part 3, the detail.
The detail. Why do we need more? Isn't that enough information?
It is enough information to be polite, but remember, the goal is connection. The goal is to make it easy for the other person to talk to you. If you give a general answer, I have to work hard to think of a follow-up question. But if you give me one tiny specific detail, we call this the hook. It invites curiosity.
Can you give me an example of a hook?
Sure. Imagine you said, it was great. I went to a new Italian restaurant. That is okay, but add a detail. It was great. I went to a new Italian restaurant and they served the spiciest pasta I have ever eaten.
Ooh, the spiciest pasta. See, now I want to ask about the pasta. I want to ask, did you survive or do you like spicy food?
Exactly. The detail gives the other person something to grab onto. It turns a statement into a conversation. The detail doesn't have to be big. It can be about the weather, the food, the price, the feeling, anything specific.
Let's try another one. If I say, it was relaxing, I was reading a book, what is a good detail?
You could say, it was actually hard to put down. I stayed up until 2 a.m. finishing it. The detail is that you stayed up late. That tells me the book was really good.
Or if I went to the cinema?
You could add a detail like, the movie was good, but honestly, it was way too long. 3 hours.
Everyone can relate to a movie that is too long. That's a great conversation starter.
So that is the formula, the rule of 3. Opinion plus activity plus detail.
This makes so much sense. It takes the pressure off. I don't have to tell my whole life story. I just need these 3 little bricks to build an answer.
Precisely. Now, Mark, I think the best way to learn this is to do it. We are going to run through 3 common weekend scenarios. I want our listeners to listen to the difference between the bad version and the native version, and then we will practice the sentences together.
Sounds good. What is scenario number 1?
Scenario number 1 is the lazy weekend. This is probably the most common one. You didn't do anything special, you just stayed home. This is where most people panic and say, it was boring or nothing special.
Right, because they think doing nothing is embarrassing. But actually, everyone loves a lazy weekend.
Exactly. Own it. Be proud of your rest. So Mark, let's do the bad version first. How was your weekend?
It was okay. I just slept.
Boring. It makes you sound depressed. Now let's use the formula. Part 1, opinion, relaxing/chill. Part 2, activity, catching up on sleep/binge watching. Part 3, detail, didn't leave the house. Mark, try to put that together.
Okay. It was honestly so relaxing. I was basically just catching up on sleep all weekend. I don't think I left my apartment once.
Brilliant. Listeners, did you hear that? I don't think I left my apartment once. That is a funny, relatable detail. It shows you really committed to relaxing. Let's try another variation for the lazy weekend.
How about this one? It was pretty chill. I was mostly just reading and taking it easy. It was exactly what I needed after a busy week.
It was exactly what I needed. That is a great phrase. It turns doing nothing into self-care. Okay, listeners, I want you to repeat this after Mark. We will leave a little space for you to speak. Shadow his pronunciation.
It was honestly so relaxing. I was basically just catching up on sleep. I don't think I left my apartment once.
Great job. Notice how Mark emphasizes the word once at the end. I don't think I left my apartment once. That adds emotion. That is the detail.
Okay, scenario number 2. The busy weekend. This is for when you worked, or you had chores, or you ran errands.
Right. This is the productive weekend. The trap here is complaining. You don't want to just sound negative. You want to sound accomplished.
So the bad version would be, how was your weekend? Bad, I worked.
Yeah, that makes you sound like you hate your life. Let's fix it. Part 1, opinion, productive/busy. Part 2, activity, running errands/working on a project. Part 3, detail, finally finished something/the traffic was crazy. Mark, show us how it's done.
It was actually really productive. I was running errands all Saturday morning. I finally got my car fixed, which feels amazing.
Nice. The detail is the feeling of relief. It feels amazing. You turned a chore, fixing the car, into a win. Let's try a work example.
It was a bit hectic, to be honest. I was working on that presentation for today, but I am glad it is done so I don't have to worry about it now.
Perfect structure. Opinion, hectic. Activity, working on the presentation. Detail, glad it is done. This tells your boss or colleague that you are hardworking, but you are also human.
Let's practice the phrase running errands. This is such a useful term for doing small jobs like shopping, post office, bank.
Yes, repeat after Mark.
It was actually really productive. I was running errands all Saturday. I finally got my car fixed.
You are doing great. Now let's look at scenario number 3, the social weekend. You went out, you saw people, maybe you traveled a little bit.
The trap here is listing everything. I went to a restaurant, then a bar, then a club, then we ate pizza. It becomes a laundry list.
Exactly. Nobody wants the itinerary. They want the highlight reel. Part 1, opinion, fun, lovely, action-packed. Part 2, activity, hanging out with/going to. Part 3, detail, the atmosphere, a funny moment, the food.
Okay, let me try. It was really lovely. I went up to the mountains to visit my sister. The weather was absolutely perfect for hiking.
Simple and beautiful. Opinion, lovely. Activity, visiting sister. Detail, the perfect weather. It invites questions like, oh, do you hike often? Or where does your sister live?
Let's try a city version. It was wild. We went to that new karaoke bar downtown. My friend Dave is a terrible singer, so we were laughing the whole time.
I love that. The detail is Dave is a terrible singer. That is a story right there. It makes me smile. It makes me want to ask about Dave.
And notice I used it was wild. Wild is a slang way to say very energetic, crazy, loud fun.
Yes, use wild for parties or big nights out. Do not use wild for reading a book, unless it was a very strange book.
Let's practice the lovely version. This is great for family time.
Ready? Shadow Mark.
It was really lovely. I went to visit my sister. The weather was absolutely perfect.
Excellent. Now I want to address something, Mark. Sometimes when we teach these formulas, students ask, but Sarah, what do I ask them back? I gave my answer, now what?
That is the easiest part. Once you finish your rule of 3 answer, you just flip it back. You say, how about you? Did you get up to anything nice?
Did you get up to anything nice? That is a lovely natural phrase. Get up to means do.
Or simply, what about you? How was yours?
Yes, the key is to answer first, then ask. If you answer with a story, they will feel comfortable sharing their story.
Sarah, before we wrap up, I want to talk about intonation. Because even if I use the perfect words, productive, running errands, detail, if I say it like a robot, it still sounds bad.
You are so right. English is a musical language. We use our pitch to show emotion. If you say it was relaxing with a flat voice, it sounds sarcastic, like you hated it.
Right. It sounds like it was relaxing. Scary.
You need to go up on the adjective. It was relaxing. You stretch the word. It was so nice. It was really busy.
And on the detail, you usually go down at the end to show you are finished. The weather was perfect.
Let's try one full dialogue mark with natural speed and natural intonation. I will be the colleague asking you.
Ready.
Morning, Mark. How was your weekend?
Oh, it was great, actually. I was mostly just hanging out with the kids. We went to the park, and honestly, they completely exhausted me. I need another weekend to recover. How about you? Did you do much?
See? That was perfect. Opinion, great. Activity, hanging out with kids. Detail, they exhausted you. And then the direct question back to me. It flowed like water.
And it didn't take 5 minutes. It took 10 seconds, but it established a real human connection.
Exactly. That is the power of the rule of 3. It gives you a structure so you don't have to panic. You know exactly what comes next.
So, Sarah, we have covered the opinion adjectives like relaxing, productive, hectic. We covered the past continuous, I was doing. We covered the detail hook. What should our listeners do now?
Well, if you are enjoying this practical approach to English, learning real patterns for real life, please make sure to subscribe to the channel. We create these videos specifically to help you move from understanding to speaking. If you subscribe, you won't miss our next topic, which is all about describing your job without sounding boring.
Oh, that is a good one. I am an office worker is forbidden.
Exactly. But for today, here is your challenge. It is Monday, or it will be Monday soon. The next time someone asks you, how was your weekend? I want you to resist the urge to just say good.
Catch yourself. Stop the word good in your throat.
Instead, I want you to pick one scenario we practiced today. Maybe you had a lazy weekend. Use the relaxing, catching up on sleep script. Maybe you had a busy one. Use the productive, running errands script.
Prepare it in your head right now. What adjective will you use? What was your main activity? What is one tiny detail?
Write it down in the comments below. We would love to read about your real weekends using this structure. Tell us, opinion, activity, detail.
I will be reading the comments to see who had the most hectic weekend and who had the most chill one.
Remember, fluency isn't about knowing every word in the dictionary. It is about having the right patterns ready when you need them. You don't need to be perfect. You just need to be prepared.
And with the rule of 3, you are prepared. Thanks for listening to Talk About It in English. Go out there, share your stories, and we will see you in the next episode. Bye, everyone.
See you soon.